Welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I am going to be talking about how to choose your first designer bag and all the things you need to think about when you are choosing your designer bag. So obviously designer bags are quite an expensive purchase and you don't want to just kind of rush out and buy them willy-nilly. I mean, you can if you want, you do you, but I know in my case and probably most people's case, they want to research the bag before they rush out and buy it. So this is just a few things to think about before you purchase. I'm not telling you what to purchase or what I think you should buy. I'm just giving you some kind of prompts to think about when you are making a purchase. So before I ramble on for too much longer, let's get into the video and I'll tell you my tips. I apologize if the audio is a little bit dodgy in this video. I know my audio isn't great. I really need to buy a microphone, a proper one. I have birds outside and I have wind outside, so I'm sorry if you can hear that. Okay, so my first number one tip to think about when you're purchasing a designer bag is to think about your lifestyle and where you are in life. So if you are a mum, you might not want to go for something like a wallet on chain because you're not going to be able to fit spare nappies in there and things like that, and it might not suit your needs. If you're someone who's younger and you're just looking to use the bag when you go out to a nice dinner or something like that, then a wallet on chain might be just right for you because it'll just fit your cards, kind of a lip gloss, some makeup and your phone. So just have a think about where you are in life and your lifestyle. Are you busy? Do you carry a lot? Do you need the bag for work and you need it to carry a laptop and things like that? These are all going to be really important when you're purchasing a bag. The second thing you should do is decide on your hard price barrier. So a lot of people say, you know, I would never purchase a bag from Hermes. That is just too out of my price range. And that's fine. It's really important to know how far you're willing to go because we all know the prices of these bags are absolutely insane. I mean, the prices of Chanel classic flaps are getting very close to Hermes bags now and it's just getting out of control. So we all know that these things are a lot of money and you need to decide what you're comfortable with. I mean, in my case, when I bought my Chanel classic flap, it's something that I wanted since I was 21 years old and the price did make me vomit a little bit in my mouth when I transferred the money. I kind of a little bit wanted to crawl under the table and cry, but I did it because it was kind of like a life achievement for me. It was something that I'd been working for like 8 to 10 years. I really wanted it and I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and purchase it because it's something I want, and if by some chance I turn around and don't like it in 2 years time, I know I can always get my money back for that bag. So for me it was worth it and it fit my lifestyle as well. You know, I don't have kids and I tend to just wear it out to dinner and to go shopping and things like that, and it fits my lifestyle just fine. So for me it was something that I could, I guess, I don't want to say like I was happy to pay it because like I said, it kind of made me a little bit sick, but it was kind of something that I could stomach, I guess, or I thought that the value I was getting from it was worth the price because it was something for me to say, look, you've worked hard and you've got this bag. So that's why I did that. The next thing to do is do your research. So if you have friends that are into designer bags, you could ask them, you can research on the brand's website, you can research on the internet, and my number one top place to do research is called the Purse Forum. If you're into bags, you've probably heard of it. It's very, very well known. And it's basically a bunch of bag lovers on there who talk about all things bags, you know, storage, pricing, what seasons of leather are good and bad from Chanel and other brands, what bags they've loved, what bags they've hated, what bags are in the collection, photos, model shots, everything you can possibly think of is on that site. So I would highly recommend checking it out. And that can help you really research what you want, and it can also help you to think of things that you wouldn't have thought of before. So one example is I was going to buy a YSL wallet on chain and I didn't realize that it's not really long enough to wear crossbody, and that's something that I couldn't really gauge from the photos on the website. And then once I read a few things on Purse Forum and I read about that and went into the store and tried the bag on, I realized it was a little bit too short. I have very small shoulders and I find it really hard to keep bags on my shoulders. So if it's going to be something like a slippery chain, I prefer to go with a crossbody. So I do have my Chanel classic flap, like I said, but it has leather in the chain, so it kind of tends to mold to the shoulder a little bit better and stay on. It's just really important to do your research and know what you're buying and know if it's going to suit you or not. The next thing to consider is your wardrobe and what you usually wear and your style. So are you someone who wears neutrals? Then you might not want a bright pink bag, you know what I mean? So it's just important to look at your wardrobe, and sometimes it can be good to go the other way. So if you do wear a lot of neutrals, you might want a brightly colored bag because it will add a pop of color to your outfit. Or if you wear all bright colors, you might want something neutral so that it will match with all your different wardrobe pieces. So it's going to be different for everybody, but it's really important to just look at your wardrobe and what you normally wear. If you know you don't like shoulder bags, don't buy a shoulder bag just because you saw it on Instagram and it looked good on someone. Or try it on first and make sure you like it before you go and buy it. Another thing you can do, which I do a lot, is try something on a lot of different times. So obviously if you go shopping on different days, you'll probably be wearing a different outfit. So you could try something on with one outfit, maybe a casual outfit, and then try something on with a bit more of a dressy outfit. And that way you can kind of gauge if it's going to look good with a majority of things that are in your wardrobe. Another thing you can do is just buy a cheaper alternative. So go to a store like H&M or Kmart. They often follow a lot of trends, and pick up a piece that is, you know, cheaper but might give you the same kind of effect, and then you can see if you like the style. The next tip is kind of similar to some of the others, but just think about whether you're an edgy or a classic person. Not that those are the only two styles that exist, but I'm just giving that as an example. So if you're someone who is very classic and likes, you know, very girly stuff, you might not want an edgy bag like a Chanel Boy or something with studs all over it or something like that. But equally, you might want that. You might want something contrasting. So I think just look at your style and look at the style of the bag and whether they fit together. Next thing you want to be really mindful of is storage and where you're going to be putting your bags, and importantly, the weather where you live or the temperature and humidity in your room. So I have heard horror stories of people's bags. So I've heard a story of patent leather sticking to the shelf where it was placed because of the heat and humidity. I've heard of bags, so like a brightly colored bag rubbing off the dye onto a lightly colored neutral bag, which is a nightmare. And I myself also had an issue in an old apartment where I lived in Sydney, where it was very humid in the apartment and there wasn't a lot of air circulation. And unfortunately, I pulled out a vintage leather jacket that I had one day and it was absolutely covered in mold, which was disgusting. I actually opened a drawer of clothes as well and they were full of mold as well. So obviously I didn't realize that the humidity had gotten into these areas. Otherwise I would have done something about it sooner. But all my stuff had gone moldy and it was revolting. It was absolutely revolting. But imagine if that happened to a Chanel bag or something. Like, that's a nightmare. Or like if someone had a Birkin and that happened, like, I can't. You just need to be really mindful of where you're putting your bags and just make sure that they are in a location where, you know, they're not going to be getting moldy or getting too hot or rubbing against one another and stuff like that. And I also don't really recommend storing them in the dust bag for the same reason. It just doesn't let them get air. So I have all of mine in this wardrobe here, and it does have a door that slides back and forth, a mirrored door, but obviously that still allows a bit of airflow around inside the cupboard and everything. I also live in a dry climate now, so I don't really have to worry about humidity. But what you can do if you are worried about humidity is you can use desiccant little bags. You know, those little bags of desiccant that say do not eat, poison, whatever. You can put those in your bags when you store them. You can also use the little, there's like these little, I don't know what they call them, little like tubs of desiccant gel that you can get. You can get them at $2 stores. Put those in the room and they suck in the moisture for you. But the best way I think will probably be if you've got a bag with, I was going to say a bag with a lot of rooms in it. If you've got a room with a lot of bags inside it, you might want to look at getting a dehumidifier for that room, because that's going to do a more powerful job of sucking out the moisture out of the room. And my final tip on that is just to check on your bags regularly, make sure they're okay, make sure, you know, there's no color transfer or weird stuff happening to them, and just give them a little dust with, you know, a neutral dust-free kind of cloth, maybe a microfiber cloth in a light color or something. I know Chanel comes with a buffing cloth, so I use mine to just dust down my bags every now and then. You just need to be mindful and keep an eye on them and make sure they're okay, because you don't want to come in after 6 months after not using a bag and find that your patent has stuck to the shelf and you're like tearing, like, oh, it's just a nightmare. Next thing is consider how fussy you are. So if you are someone who is not going to be okay with imperfections, I wouldn't recommend going for something like a lambskin because that is going to scratch up and have a lot of kind of marks on it over time. I do hear that you can buff them out pretty well, but it just depends on the level of fussiness that you have. And so if you're someone like that, you might want to go for more of a caviar piece. You might want to avoid things that have a lot of hardware because hardware can obviously scratch, and that might cause you some level of anxiety as well. I know it does for me. I absolutely hate it when I buy my Mimco pouches and they have a scratch. Like, I have to take it back and swap it, even though I feel like I'm being a nightmare customer, but I know it's going to bother me, and you're spending your money on it, so it should be perfect. And with that, you should also just consider if you're the type of person who's not particularly one to baby your bags, you know, you might be someone who puts them on the floor, you might go for a more durable material. Or if you're someone who really babies your bags, you're probably going to be fine with lambskin if you're going to, you know, get your bag its own seat at the table when you go for dinner or something. And I'm not making fun of you because I do that as well, or put my pouches down on, you know, like a napkin and stuff like that. My boyfriend always laughs at me. My next tip is to examine the why. So why are you getting a designer bag? Are you doing it because you saw it on Instagram and you feel pressure? Probably not the best reason. I mean, again, no judgment, you can do whatever you want, but I really recommend that you don't get sucked into the hype of designer bags. I think that they're wonderful and beautiful things, obviously, but they're not necessary for life. So look at why you're actually getting it. If you're getting it because you love it and you've had your eye on it for a long time, if you're getting it to celebrate a life milestone, if you're, you know, getting a promotion at work and you want to buy yourself something nice, I think those are all great reasons to buy something. But I think it's terrible to just buy it because you feel pressured. I know in the society we live in, it seems like every person and their dog has a Chanel bag, or like beautiful clothes and beautiful houses and all this money, and it's a very like money and things driven society that we live in, which is, it's just not what life's about. I think if you've got, you know, your health, your happiness, your family, your friends, that's what's really important. And this stuff is called luxury for a reason. And that is because it is an extra little thing that makes life, you know, nice. It's not the be all and end all, and I don't want anyone to feel pressure, especially watching my videos. Just know that I buy these things because I like them, but if they were all to disappear tomorrow and I could only choose from having these things or my family and friends and my health, I would choose the second option. So just examine why you're buying your purchases and if it's really making you happy. And don't go into debt for bags because that is just silly. You don't want to be in debt because you bought a handbag and then you can't afford food. That's just dumb. So don't do it. And I know you can really feel the pressure to put things on credit cards and, you know, max yourself out. I know I have a tendency to go shopping when I feel shitty, and it's just not the vibes. My final tip is to consider resale value and whether or not that's even important to you, because you might not care. So if you really love a bag and you think you'll keep it forever, who cares about resale value? Not important. But if you're someone who likes to kind of upgrade or change and refresh your wardrobe, you might like to go for things with better resale value, because that way you can sell a bag on and get the new trendy bag that you like. So I think it's just important to consider what type of a person you are in that regard, and whether you're going to have a collection that you're going to build and keep for a long time, or whether you might want to look at reselling. That is my final tip. So thank you very much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you did enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment below and let me know your best bag purchase and or your worst bag purchase, because I'm really interested to know about people's kind of experiences with bags and purchasing, and just really like to know. So leave me a comment below. That's all I've got for you today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or night whenever you're watching this. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!